Thank you so much. All right, well, I am so honored to be here with all of you today. Ryan would have been here, but he is speaking at the Leadership Summit in New Hampshire. And so, but he loves being in Iowa. This is definitely home away from home. You know, it's amazing when you get off the airplane and I'm like, okay, I know this gate. I know how to get out of here. And so in his place, I'm very grateful to be here. You know, since he made his presidential announcement back in April until now, he has truly been a grassroots candidate. Up to date, he has been to over 60 counties, and he is planning on finishing all 99 very soon, you know, in the near future. And in that journey, thank you, he has really loved meeting Iowans and getting to know everyone personally. On May 21st of this year, my family celebrated 50 years of being immigrated into the United States. I spent my early years with my grandmother. You know, I asked my dad, how do you feel knowing that you had been here for 50 years? Now, my dad is 93 years old, and the first word that came to his heart was, I'm grateful. He still has such a heart of love and gratitude for this nation. And so looking at what's going on in this nation, he is praying. He was the first Christian in his family of Buddhists. There was a Presbyterian missionary that actually came to Korea at the time, right before the war. He was about 18 or 19 years old, and he gave his heart to the Lord. And that set him on a different trajectory. But as I was saying, when they were immigrating, I stayed with my grandmother in Korea because she was lonely and I was a surprise baby. And so it wasn't until I was about 7 years old that my parents brought me to America. My grandmother had unfortunately passed away. And here I am in Georgia with a family that I did not know that I actually had, because I never saw my mother. I didn't know I had two brothers. I saw my dad maybe twice in those 7 years. And so growing up, I recognized that, wow, I'm so thankful that my parents had the courage to uproot and to go to a new country and to create a new life. My dad was a interpreting officer between the Korean general and the U.S. general, General Trudeau at the time. And that afforded him the opportunity to be given a visa, but not before he worked for another 15 years as an Army civilian in Okinawa. He waited in line. He went through the process of what was required. And growing up, I was thankful, but you know, it was a few years ago when I went to Washington, D.C., and I was able to personally stand in front of the Korean War Memorial. And it didn't hit me until that point that yes, I was grateful, I'm in this country, but then to physically see with my eyes the statues of our young men with such apprehension in their eyes, walking through the rice fields, it was just another level of reality of the sacrifice that was made. You see, my parents heard of the American dream where you could live in a nation in peace and freedom, and they fulfilled that dream. It took hard work, sweat, and a lot of tears, but they were able to create this new life with the freedoms of the United States and the opportunities that came with it. Today, I ask myself and all of you, is that opportunity still available for our children and our grandchildren? As we look at our nation and the world, it reminds me of the lyrics to the song that says, it's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel like we are fighting in this season, in this time, in this hour for the next generation. This is why Ryan Binkley has jumped in the race. The left is trying to steal the innocence, identity, and God-given purpose of our children, and we must stand up and say no more. It is for this reason, again, that Ryan is running. Ryan and I have always had a heart for young people. When we met 26 years ago, we started a young adult ministry. We met at our church, a small church in the International District of Atlanta. And my first impression of Ryan, which if you have seen a picture of him, if you have met him, he's a very good-looking guy. So I was like, oh my goodness, where did this guy come from? And all, we were a small church back then, so all the girls are just googly-eyed all over him. But through time, we just started this friendship, and I got to see this man who had such a heart for God, who had such a conviction to live in honor and integrity and to live out compassion. He always wanted to serve his community, and he would pursue that. Now that we have been married for 24 years and we have 5 amazing children that are 13 to 23 years old, I have seen time and time again his character push through some very difficult circumstances. When we were first married, so now I guess it's been about 23 years ago, his brother was tragically killed. His only sibling, his only brother, who was 2 years older than him, he was killed on Martin Luther King's Day by a drunk driver. We had started a new life, being newly married, started a new life working in ministry together in Atlanta, and now we had to re-look at our situation. Here we were really doing what we felt like we were called to do, which was to serve our community and be on the mission field, minister to the inner city kids in Atlanta. But his brother, Hal, worked with his parents in their own company. And so we prayed and felt like God was leading us to move to Texas from Georgia. Ryan never thought he would put on another tie, because he had worked for Procter & Gamble, Boston Scientific, and now he was doing ministry and so excited about it. But we decided to move to Texas, and we had Benjamin. He was about 14 months old. I was pregnant with Catherine. And to navigate through those years, obviously, was very, very difficult. The company that Ryan jumped into work with his dad on at the time that Hal had passed, they eventually sold that company, and then they started a new company. So now here we were in a new state, starting a new company with a growing family, and then we found a church that we were able to just serve in. It was a lot. There was a lot that we had to juggle. But however, today, Ryan is the president and CEO of a financial consulting firm with about 400 employees. He and I are also the lead pastors of a beautiful multicultural church. And it's just, all the nations, all the ages, it's truly what our hearts love. I believe that his background and experience equip him uniquely to address the challenges that our nation is going through. He not only has the intelligence and the gifting to address the financial issues, but also to look at the spiritual issues that are going on in this nation. Ryan has had to lead and navigate through many storms with not only dealing with the loss of his brother, but also within the company. During the recession, he has had to make so many tough decisions, one of which was deciding to go 3 months without a paycheck and cutting the work week back from 5 days to 4 days just so he wouldn't have to let anybody go. He has faced many attacks personally from disgruntled employees and to wrongfully written write-ups against our company and against his character. I could write books about all the trials that he has gone through, and yet through it all, he has stayed true to his convictions. His love and commitment to the Lord has anchored him immensely. His love and commitment to us, to his family, and then to his church and to his business has been amazing. Now, Ryan is running for the President of the United States of America because our nation is in desperate need of an economic revival and a spiritual revival. I think all of us here are very well aware of the economic brokenness, and we don't have to look too far to see how broken it is culturally. It's time for that to come to an end. with a message of unity that comes directly from the leader of this nation. And I believe that Ryan is the one for the job. This is not a time for politics as usual. The economic and spiritual climate today is calling for another standout leader, one who will not only connect to the hearts of millions of young people who voted for Biden, but also to the immigrants who are citizens who want to know, does the Republican Party truly care? Ryan cares. He is that leader. And if there's another thing you should know about my husband, Ryan, it's he knows how to deliver economic success. Adding to that his vision and love for this nation with no other motive except to see it grow and to be set up for a successful future for the next generation. This is why he's running. He's posted his 7-year economic rescue plan that can turn our economy in the right direction and set it up for a successful future for our sons and daughters. It's a practical solution for one of our most important problems. But he also knows it doesn't matter how strong the economy is if our people are not safe. He's created a blueprint for border security and immigration reform. Ryan's plan will end the smuggling of fentanyl, end catch and release, end sanctuary cities, end human trafficking, and secure the border from California to Texas once and for all. However, securing the border is only half the battle. We must know who is in our country, and we must meet our worker needs, and we as Republicans must lead on immigration reform. Most legal immigrants who are citizens and voting today are wondering and thinking that the Republican Party, do they really care? And we must care. Ryan will also fight to protect parents' rights. It's crazy to think that we even have to bring this up as a discussion. A parental right to their own children. This is the time that we're in. But educational decisions, counseling decisions, and identity decisions need to be connected to the parents at all times. The time for excluding parents from their children's lives must and will come to an end with Ryan as the president. Ryan is also pro-life, and we must protect the life of every child. We have to create a culture of life and let the children know that we care, and not only for the children, but for the woman in crisis. We have to show that we care about you as a person and that we are here for you and provide resources and counseling and whatever that she needs. And through that, we also need to create an adoption movement and reform foster care. There are 600,000 children. There are 600,000 children that go through the foster care system every year. They need safe, secure, and loving homes. This is close to home because our 5th child we adopted, it was an international adoption, but after we had our 3rd child, Zoe, God just really put it on our hearts. Every time I would hear a story of adoption or it's adoption month, and I am just weeping. And so Ryan and I, we just prayed about it and felt like God was moving us to adopt. So we had Zoe, and then we ended up having Gabriel, and then we said, okay, well, let's move forward. And now James is our 5th child. He's 13 years old, and he is every bit of Binkley as my biological children, and brings so much joy and challenges since he's 13 into our lives. In closing, I stand before you today as Ellie Binkley and as an immigrant who witnessed the American dream come true. The sacrifices of brave soldiers allowed my family to thrive. And now we as a nation are at a critical juncture. Our children's freedoms and dreams are under threat. And Ryan Binkley, a leader with a heart for both young and old, offers a vision of unity, economic revival, and spiritual healing. He also is a standout leader that our country needs, one who will protect parental rights, champion life, and bring about positive change filled with hope for our future. I think that's what's missing, hope for the future. When we look at our children and they see the things that are going on in the world, we need to give them hope for a future, not to give up, that God is still reigning, He is still on the throne, and we're going to see this nation turn towards Him. As we approach this election, remember that the next generation is at stake, and Ryan is the leader our country needs. Thank you for your invitation today, and thank you for your support.